Thanks for coming, dude.
Oh yeah, of course, dude. But if I'm being real with you, I think this podcast might need a new host.
Wait, what?
What's up, y'all? How you feeling? Oh, you must be feeling good. You're coming all the way out here, right? I'll tell you what. We're Wasted Eternities. Let's just start it.
Well, we are here on the 4th Downer podcast, and I'm here with guitarist and vocalist from Wasted Eternities. Yeah, he is drinking too much American whiskey. No. American. Okay. American. Name, age, and how long have you been a fucking band?
Well, listen here, sir. I've been a band.
Okay, right. So my name is Alejandro Rodriguez. As of right now, I'm 19 years old, and we've been playing together for roughly 5 or 6 years. I don't want to say 5 or 6 because I don't remember, and I still don't remember. Even though we've been playing for a long ass time, I don't remember. But what I do know is that we've been playing shows for roughly a little bit over a year.
Anything new coming up for Wasted Eternities?
For I have a music video in mind that we're gonna make. It's coming up. I'm not saying anything. Hindsight. That's it.
Nice. Okay. Music video for Hindsight. You got a director for that?
Not yet.
You got an editor?
It's still in my head. Everything's still in my head. I mean, I got the idea of it, but I think still I'm gonna say it. Okay. Give it the Downer Wasted Eternity special.
The exclusive. Okay.
Cool. All right. So the music. The last time we were talking, right? The last time we were interviewing, I told you about that. You know, Hindsight is based off of hallucinations. It's based off of like scary paranormal shit. So basically, the story that Hindsight follows is a story about a guy, right, who ends up going through a big ass schizophrenic fucking trip, goes through hallucinations. This motherfucker's tripping on himself, right? And so at the beginning of the song, you know, all this stuff is happening. He's, you know, hearing footprints. He's hearing doors close. He's hearing this thing close. He's hearing everything open, and all this crazy shit's going on. And he has like, what the fuck, right? You know, he's like seeing people outside the window. You can hear the lyrics. You can hear him talk, right? And so in the song, I was like, maybe I can like get some guy, like, you know, obviously us, but it would be like kind of funny because every place where he would be tripping, it's just us playing in the background, just casually, just so, you know, he's tripping, he's looking out the window, he's like, what the fuck, and then it's us outside behind the ghost just kicking and shit, and then it flashes back to like him, and he's just like, he's panicking and shit, and we're in the background just, this is a cool song, right? And then like, you know, I want this little angle where it's like, you know, he's towards the end of the song where, you know, it's someone right behind, and then it echoes back where I would where, you know, it would be a copy of me, two me's, right? So in one ear I had to be screaming in his face, and it you know, the camera would be like twirling and shit, and I'm behind him now, in front of him now, and you know, all this crazy shit. And it would be cool. But cool thing, fun fact about Hindsight that I already told you, but at the beginning of Hindsight, they say I wrote out opening the door, right? So that lyric came because sometimes at night when I sleep facing the door, sometimes I'll keep my eyes open and I'll see the door open, and then I blink and it goes back to its original position, right? And the thing is that I think that's a normal thing. That's like, you know,
not normal at all.
It's gotta be normal because I've heard shit about, you know, how people were like, oh, you know, they see shit. Like, for example, like they say that it's normal because your brain tricks you into believing that it's something. Like, for example, like if you're sleeping and at the end of your bed you have like a shit ton of like, you know, a rocking chair and some clothes piled up on it, you're gonna think it's a wish. Just get ready to like fuck your shit up, right? You turn the lights and it's just your smelly underwear.
That's true. Something that happens to me that sounds creepy, but I think it's kind of normal, is that like I'll be going to sleep, I'll have my eyes closed, and like I'm going to sleep, but I can still see the room, like as if my eyes were open. Like,
Fuck.
yeah, it's
I
like.
don't think that's normal.
Listen, let's talk about the importance of Vincent Simpson in the origin story of Wasted Eternities.
Oh, take it away, Mr. Simpson. That's what we called them in middle school. I'm gonna be so basically Vincent Simpson. So he came into 8th grade, our middle school year, as a replacement music teacher, right? So cool part. He was really into the kids do your own thing kind of thing, and he basically gave us the energy to keep going, right? And not only was he our mentor inside of school, he was also our mentor outside, because there's sometimes where he would invite us to church, right? He would invite us to church, and he would actually not only invite us to church, he would invite us to play in the church band, because we were pretty good. So he was like, "Do you guys want to come play at the church band, right?" And so every Sunday, for every so often, for a couple months or maybe a year or two, right? We went with him to church. He would always pick us up Sunday morning, and we would fuck some shit up at church, right? They would be like, "Praise the Lord." I would be over here like, right? I would be over here like hitting like super power chords, and I'll be hitting these like crazy chugs to like some praise songs, and then I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie, this music kind of fire, right? The music was fire, right? So obviously there were some more musicians, and they kind of like took me under their wing too. But it was always Vincent. He would always take us here. He would always open up He basically opened up new doors. And then he basically was the foundation for Wasted, right? Over time, obviously, we had other teachers. We learned more from people. We learned more stuff from our high school band teacher, Mr. Hutchinson. He was fucking crazy old man, but that crazy old man taught us how to stick together and not. He was really hard on us, but I mean, he did it for a good reason, right? And then we had my elementary 6th grade teacher, Miss Nagisa. She was always the one that helped us out outside. For example, she was the one that invited us to do the music thing when we first got recorded. She would sometimes get us paid for gigs. Like we did like some gigs at a middle school. They would just need some like music to be played, and boom, right there, and they paid us pretty damn well for what we were.
Really? How much?
Like a good $200.
Nice.
I was like, that's so cool. I was like, I'm digging this, right? I like it, right? So we had fun. They fed us too. I was like really happy about it. I was like, it was cool and shit, right? So I was like, cool. And so back to Vincent. He was the one that kind of taught us everything. Obviously he was Abdi's biggest mentor, because he's a drummer. Mr. Simpson's a drummer, and this guy can drum. Like, to give you an example, when you put Mr. Simpson and Abdi side by side, Mr. Simpson would wreck Abdi. Like, I think I have a video of Abdi just staring at him like, what the fuck? like to give you an example, one of the memories I have most often is where we were at a church after church, right? After church, he would let us practice in the church spot, right? So after church, everyone would leave. They would go do their own thing. They would go eat. And then we stick around for maybe 30 minutes, and we would crank up the distortion, and we would start Metallica covers, or we would start our own songs. And he would basically give us a practice spot, right? And so I remember this one time, we were like, I don't know how to practice today, right? And so Mr. Simpson, he was playing a song, and he did a really cool technique on the floor tom. And Abdi and I was like, what the fuck, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, I don't know what happened, but Abdi has a double pedal, right? Right? Mm-hmm. And so what Mr. Simpson taught him is that I could do that too, right? And the thing is, he only had a single pedal. So what this man did, he basically kind of adjusted the floor tom, and he taught Abdi a way to do double pedal, but with the floor tom.
Really?
Right. So it would sound like he's playing, a double pedal rhythm, right? But he's hitting the tom and the floor and the bass drum at the same time. It would alternate really quickly. So you can't even. It was like a flutter. You can't tell that it's not that.
That sounds cool.
Right, and that's one of the coolest things I ever saw him do, right? And so it was really cool because he taught us basically everything. He was really, he was really into our metal music. He was the first one to listen to our End. He was like, "That's you guys?" I could have swore that was Metallica. I was like, "Yeah, huge," because that song was purely based off Metallica. If you listen to that song and listen to any if you listen to the first Metallica album, that's all Metallica right there. That's all Metallica influence.
So the three of you have known each other. You've known David since kindergarten?
Yeah, just about.
The bass player, David, you've known since kindergarten. And then Abdi, you met in which grade?
In 7th grade, and yeah, and all three of us got down in 8th grade.
So 8th grade. Wasted Eternities started in 8th grade. Now,
Wasted Eternities did not start until around junior or sophomore year, because back then we were named Vengeance.
That's right. Vengeance was the name of the band in 8th grade. And then it would eventually become Wasted Eternities after some shady dealings with a logo designer.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about your first show at the lot.
Oh,
What date? When was that?
Man, I remember exactly what day it was. It was 9/11.
That reminds me of that tragedy.
Right, 9/11. Okay, so, what happened that day?
All right. So the first
September 11th.
September 11th, the first lot show. I remember I told my dad, he was like, "Yeah, I'll take you." Right? I was like, "Let's go." Right? Cool. So we pull up at doors, as everyone should. Right? We pull up the doors because I was like, "Whoa, this is our first show, like for real." Because I was so excited to do this show because I had came to a different lot show like 2 weeks prior. And that was my first lot show ever, and I'll mention that
Do you
in a
remember
bit.
who was playing?
I remember exactly who was playing.
Oh,
I went to go look for the lineup, and I found the entire lineup.
found the flyer?
Oh yeah, I found the
we gotta
flyer.
send that.
And I'll tell you exactly who it was. So that day I came with David because the Hazards, they I know they're back in high school. Their guitar player Lisandro,
Mm-hmm.
he was in marching band with us. That kind of connects the dots, right? So,
Nice.
I kind of, that's where I knew him. He was like, "Hey, I know you guys like, metal and shit. Why don't you come to our show and shit?" I'm just like, "Fuck it, let's go," right? So me and David were just like, "All right, let's go." We get on the fucking Silver Line. An hour later, we're at the lot, right? And so we're like, fuck, we're here early, 5:30, right? Doors open at 6, right? We're here early as shit, right? We're like waiting for the show to start. Show starts. We come in, we're at doors. We were like, "This is cool," right? We're still kids, right? We're like 17, right? Like, "This is cool," right? So we come in. I remember the lineup very clearly. So the lineup, if I'm not mistaken, was the coolest lineup because I still remember every single one of these bands. It was not in order. It was Cinematic Fiction. It was Cherry Jane. It was Kix. It was Tofu. It was Vexum. It was who else? Jesus Christ. It was the Hazards, obviously. And
Damn, that's a good show.
right, and it was also the Mosquitoes, but I didn't stick around.
Okay.
That
was Friday the 13th.
Right, it was Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
I didn't stick around. I didn't
Yeah.
stick around too long. I didn't stick around until the Mosquitoes because I stayed.
Okay.
I came at
Yeah.
doors. It was the longest time, right? So after that, I was like, okay, I had to go. I was like, it's about time to go home. And so, I went home and I was fucking. That's when I talked to you about the shows, and I was like, dude, it's gonna be so fucking cool. I can't wait to play at the lot. And then I don't remember the lineup. I know it was us and the Hazards, but I don't remember anyone else aside from that. But I do remember it was the Art, Music, and Film Festival that you did. And it was our first show. We did the entirety of the Ruins album. Not including, Corrupted Dreams, because fuck that song. But since my dad brought us here, he was just chilling. He never left because he was like, "How the fuck am I gonna get back?" Right? So he told me. So my dad, he ended up staying the entire show with us also when we played here, and he ended up falling asleep for almost 6 hours in the alley, just kicking it, waiting for us to go on. Because he was like, "When are you guys gonna go on?" I'm just like, "Oh, at that time." I was like, "All right." So he stayed asleep through 6 hours, and after that, he was like, "All right, we gotta go." I was like,
Yeah, I remember
"All right."
that. Yeah.
But 9/11 was a national tragedy.
What else should we get into?
Spooky stories.
Spooky stories. Okay, no, there's some more really important questions before we get
The
to
range and how the
Yeah.
members mix them well.
that. Well, see, this doesn't work this time because you were wearing a deranged shirt last time, and that was a good segue.
Just pretend I'm wearing a deranged shirt. Hey,
All
look,
right,
the
all right.
deranged right here.
We're gonna do some acting. Oh, hey, that's a really freaking cool Deranged shirt, dude. Deranged is one of those bands that's like a trio. Just like Wasted Eternities. You guys just work together so well, like, because there's something about the chemistry between you three. You guys just have like a certain bond or solidarity between you guys.
You know, if you've ever seen our live shows, we change our songs. Like the songs aren't played the same way that we play them in the studio and we play them live. We play usually we do like a drum and bass breakdown, or we change up a certain thing, or sometimes we'll even fuck around. And there's just one song on the next album called Blind Faith. It's a hardcore punk song, right? And towards the end, towards the middle of the song, we have a cumbia style beat change, right? That's added to the song. But we sometimes like to fuck around with it in live versions of it, and we end up changing the cumbia style beat, and we'll end up switching into a ska style beat. Same notes, same everything. It's just the feel of the song changes to ska, and then after that we'll switch it to reggae, and then we'll switch it back to punk, and then we'll all come back in. I'll turn to Abdi, give him the glance, and then we know that at the end of this measure, we all go back into the song.
It's time for Spooky Hour.
All right. So, mine personally, I don't really know if this is I don't remember if this was a dream or if this was just a really, really, really repressed memory I have. But a long time ago, I don't remember if it was during I don't remember if it was during Christmas or Thanksgiving. So one day, I was just chilling, and I was just being a kid and shit, and I became curious, and I was like, hey, I should go look for my uncle, right? And because my uncle usually comes to almost every family gathering, so I'm just like, he would obviously be here, right? So I do what any kid would do, and I start looking around. I go to the living room, nothing, everyone's there. Into my tia's room, no one's there, but it's still lit up, so obviously he's not there, right? So I go to the kitchen, no one's really there, everybody's really outside or in the living room. I go into the kitchen, no one's there, and so then I open the doorway and start going through, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, Theo. I start calling out for him, and I was like, I don't see him, he's not here. I'm pretty sure he's here, maybe he's in the patio, right? And so I'm approaching the door that leads to the outside, right? And I'm like, Theo, maybe he's outside the door, maybe he can hear me because he smokes, so usually he's supposed to take a smoke break sometimes. He walks outside. I'm like, Theo, right? I'm like, no response. Now keep in mind, my tia's door that leads to the outside is about, I think, a little bit 3/4 down, no, 3/4 up. There's a window. That window's open, closable, right? It was open, right? Breeze coming in. It's nighttime, right? I'm just like, Theo, nothing, right? No response. And then I'm looking at the door, and then, like, almost like a Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare, my Theo's face jumps out at me. And I'm like fucking panic. I'm like, what the fuck? And I fall back, right? I fall back on my ass. I'm like, what the fuck, right? And I look up, nothing, gone, right? And I open the door, right? I open the door, and I go outside, and I go to the patio. Patio's completely dark. It's not even in use, right? I'm like, okay. I'm like, Theo. I start calling out for him, like, because I just saw his face jump out at me. So, he's got to be here now. Keep in mind, this little jump thing, this is 100% canon with my uncle. Like, my Theo, like, he's a prankster, right? So it's very normal that he would, his little nephew would jump out and scare, right? This is a very completely normal thing he would do, right? So I'm over here like, oh, he's here, right? He's obviously here. He's got to be here, right? I go to the driveway, nothing. I go up the driveway, where the front porch is, right? And I go up there, I turn right, everyone's there. I'm like, Theo, I'm like, nothing, right? And so I'm just like, damn, I can't find him, right? I just saw him, right? So I go back inside, and I grab my mom, and just like, hey mom, do you know where my Theo is, right? See, everything was normal up until this point. And then I tell her, do you know where my Theo is? And she says, what do you mean? I'm just like, do you know where my uncle is? Because I'm looking for him, right? I just saw him a few minutes ago, right? He's like, are you sure? Because your uncle's not here. I'm like, what do you mean he's not here? I just saw him, right? He's like, no, your uncle never came to the party today. He didn't come today. I'm just like, oh shit, right? Then what the fuck did I just see? Because I just saw his face jump out at me. So it's like, yeah, he's not here. He didn't come today.
What's up, y'all? How you feeling?
Be sure to follow Wasted Eternities on Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, everything.
Thanks for coming, dude.
Oh yeah, of course, dude. But I'm being real with you. I think his podcast might need a new host.
Wait, what?
So, anyway, don't mind that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube. And yeah, definitely stream our music. Yeah.